Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog.stampwithelaine.com and welcome to my 2018 12-week Countdown to Christmas series. I publish this every Friday until the 7th of December. Today is episode 5 and the project is another simple flat lay card using the beautiful Blizzard stamp set and die. I have used the multi-purpose adhesive sheet to cover the back of my glimmer paper. I've cut that the same size as my die, and if I put the multi-purpose adhesive sheets on, it just saves me a lot of faff trying to glue tiny little delicate pieces onto my cardstock. To make the card you will need half a sheet of A4. In Europe this will measure 5 7/8 inches by 8 1/4 inches and fold it in half. In metric that will be 14.85 by 21 centimeters. For the front of the card you need a smoky slate layer cut at 3 3/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. That's 9.5 centimeters by 14 centimeters. For the whisper white layer to go on top, this has been cut at 3 1/2 inches by 5 1/4 inches. That's 8.9 centimeters by 13.3 centimeters. For the inside of the card you will need a piece 3 3/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. That's 9.5 centimeters by 14 centimeters. The glimmer sheet and the multi-purpose adhesive sheet has both been cut 5 inches by 4 inches. That's 12.7 by 10.2 centimeters. The inks I'm using are Smoky Slate and Coastal Cabana, and I'm also using my Stamparatus to help make things go a little faster because I'm going to be making several of the same card. The Stamparatus will normally come with one foam sheet so that you can adapt it if you're stamping with photopolymer stamps. I've found that when you're stamping without the foam mat, if you've got your stamps very close to the hinge, there is a spot which right at the hinge area that doesn't really quite hit the spot. So I've overcome this by having one of these fun foam mat sheets that you can get at any local craft store, just to give it that, to elevate it a little bit, and I get a perfect result every time. At the time of filming this, Stampin' Up is allowing demonstrators to do a pre-order of some new accessories coming from the Stamparatus. That includes additional plates, additional foam mats and some grid paper. Now in the meantime, waiting for this to arrive, I've just cut my own grid paper, so I will be looking forward to receiving those very soon. They're going to be available as of the 1st of October. You'll also need the magnetic platform and Big Shot, and in this instance, because of the added thickness of having the multi-purpose adhesive sheet on the back of the glimmer paper, I'm going to be using my precision base plate in lieu of one of the cutting pads. I'm also using traditional stamping, so I've mounted my stamps on a E block and a D block. Now that we've gathered our supplies, take the smaller of the two Whisper White cardstock and ink it up with the larger splotch, for lack of a better word. I think I might take my ink pad to the stamp instead, and I'm going to stamp off and then stamp on in the corner. Switch ink pads and stamp the snowflakes randomly here. Then I'll need to die cut my snowflakes. First I'll use the magnetic platform, then the precision base plate. Place my glimmer paper with the multi-purpose adhesive sheet stuck on the back. Place the Blizzard die, cutting edge face down, and then the top cutting plate, and I'm ready to run it through the Big Shot. So I'll do that off camera. I've already pre-cut one to make this card, so I'm just going to use them. You see they cut out several, so you can make several cards with just the one die, and it cuts out, I don't know how many there are in total, 4 large ones and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 smaller ones and some teeny tiny little ones as well. Next we're going to stamp this sentiment here, and this is where the Stamparatus comes in really handy. I find that if you use a marker pen the traditional way, the ink doesn't seem to be as intense, so if you want a really good coverage, I find that it's easier to use the ink pad rather than a marker pen. I pop my cardstock there. It's always handy to use the imaging sheet from your Stamp-A-Majig. I don't know if they still carry it, and then you can always check that it's in the right position to make sure it's straight, so you can do that. Okay. And another way to check whether your writing is straight is to stamp it straight on the grid paper, and then you can see that it's straight on the grid paper. I know Stampin' Up have brought out their own cleaning mat. Now mine's all dried up, so it's as hard as rock. For little jobs like this, I still use my absorber cloth. So what I'm going to do is ink up the sentiment. Okay, and then I clean that off. Pop my cardstock back and then stamp the big letter on. Then I grab my post-it note, place it over the letter, ink it up with smoky slate to stamp the top, and then I just use the post-it note, switch it around, cover that up, the word again, and stamp the bottom. And that's how I get the two-tone lettering here. So I'll set that aside while we tackle the inside of the card here. I turn my plate around, and don't forget when you're inserting the hinge to insert it perpendicularly. Take the larger piece of Whisper White, take my post-it note and ink up my greeting. Switch ink pads to a swirly bit. Take that off. Ink it up, and then just move my cardstock down until I'm lining up the top of the cardstock with the bottom of the first hinge. So back with my magnet, ink it up, make sure that there's no ink on this, and stamp again. Now that's too close, I'm not happy with that, so I can switch that round, and I'll show you another way to do this, and that's to ink up both together. Then move it down a little bit more so it's at the top of the second hinge. I haven't gone far enough. Clean off my stamp. Or I could use an easier way, and that's to put a sheet of post-it note on there. and stamp. That's better. Some fast fuse on the back. Fast fuse on this. And last of all is just to peel off one of these snowflakes for a bit of bling. Use my tool and pick up one of the smaller snowflakes. I think I might be better off with this end. There's your Christmas card, all nice and flat for posting, but still with that element of pop. So I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. Do give me a thumbs up if you like it. You can find me on Facebook, Pinterest or Instagram, and for the links to my online store you'll find those below this video if you scroll further down. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon. Bye!